Once upon a time, a woman wanted a child so very much. She asked a witch to help her. The witch gave her a special seed to plant. And lo and behold, the seed grew into a single flower plant. The woman was so happy when the flower opened and a lovely little girl popped out. She was no bigger than the woman's thumb. "I will call her Thumbelina and give her the best of everything," exclaimed the woman. One night, as Thumbelina slept in her walnut shell bed, a mother toad hopped in and snuck away with Thumbelina in her bed. The mother toad thought Thumbelina would make a lovely bride for her toad son. In the morning, Thumbelina was very upset to see she was stuck with the toads living on a lily pad in the water. She began to cry. A beetle flying overhead heard her cry and went to look at her. "What a remarkable creature," thought the beetle. He picked her up and took her home to his beetle village. The other beetles did not think she was very remarkable, and they told her to go away. Poor Thumbelina left and began to wander alone in the forest as the cold winter wind began to blow. As she wandered, she stumbled upon a small hole. A small field mouse found Thumbelina and offered her a home for the winter in exchange for helping around the house. The field mouse also mentioned her friend the wealthy mole, who was looking for a wife. Just then the wealthy mole appeared to invite the field mouse to see how his tunnel was coming along. Thumbelina followed along and was surprised to see a frozen swallow sticking out of the tunnel. "Oh, don't mind him," said the field mouse. "Be glad you have arms instead of wings," said the field mouse. That night, Thumbelina went back to where the swallow was. She was surprised to hear a faint heartbeat while listening to his chest. She put a grass blanket around him and hugged him close. Soon the sparrow was awake. "Where am I?" "You have saved me. However can I thank you?" chirped the sparrow. Thumbelina promised to nurse him back to health until he was strong enough to fly away. Meanwhile, the field mouse and the mole were making wedding plans, which Thumbelina wanted no part of. The swallow got better and asked Thumbelina to fly away with him, but Thumbelina stayed. The mole arrived to marry Thumbelina, but she did not want to be his wife or the field mouse's maid. "Oh, why did I not fly away with the sparrow when I had the chance?" wondered Thumbelina. Just then the sparrow landed and said, "Better late than never," and scooped up Thumbelina and flew her to a magical land, full of clear water, powdery beaches, and beautiful flowers. The swallow lowered her on a daisy and flew away. Thumbelina noticed a handsome young man perched on a nearby flower. He had transparent wings and a gold crown, and he was just about the same size as Thumbelina. Their eyes met and they fell in love instantly. "I am the king of the daisies," said the young man, as he gestured towards the little winged lords and ladies who peeked from behind all the flower petals. "Would you be my queen?" asked the king as he kissed her hand. "I would be honored to be your wife," said Thumbelina. She was presented with transparent wings just like the king's. All of the king's lords and ladies planned the most beautiful daisy-filled wedding. Thumbelina married the king in the most beautiful garden wedding the kingdom had ever seen. The king and Thumbelina flew into the cloudless blue sky and lived happily ever after in their beautiful flower castle. Once upon a time, there was a man and his wife that had wanted a baby for so long, but had never had one. One day, the wife gave her husband the awesome news that they had waited so long for. They were going to have a baby. They lived in a house overlooking a big garden full of fresh vegetables and flowers. Sadly, the garden was protected by a high wall with barbed wire on the top. The mighty witch who lived there wanted no one in her garden. Everyone was very scared of the mighty witch. One day, the wife was so hungry for the fresh radishes. She saw them growing in the witch's garden, but she knew she could not have them. Although she really, really wanted them, she thought she might die if she did not have them. Her husband worried so much about her. She told him, "I think I will die unless I can have some of those radishes that grow in the witch's garden." Her husband waited for nightfall so he could climb over the wall to get her some of the witch's radishes. He got her some and climbed back over. She made a big radish salad, and it made her feel so much better. But she knew she wanted more radishes. So her husband snuck over the wall at night to pick more radishes. As he was climbing back over the wall, the witch was standing right below him. "How dare you steal my radishes?" said the witch. "My wife thought she would die if I did not get them for her. I am very sorry." "If this is true," said the witch, "you can have all the radishes you want, on one condition. You must promise to give me your child to raise as my own." The man was so scared he agreed to whatever she said just to get away. When the beautiful child was born, the witch came and took her away, just as she had threatened. She named her Rapunzel, which means radish. Rapunzel grew more and more beautiful every day, and on her 12th birthday, the witch locked her up in a high tower deep in the woods. The tower had no stairs, no door, only a small window. Rapunzel had beautiful long hair that had never been cut, and when the witch wanted to go up to see her, she would cry, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch would climb up her hair to see her. This went on for years. One day, a prince was riding by the tower and heard Rapunzel singing. He looked at the tower but had no idea how to get in. So he left. But he came by the next day and saw the witch crying, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And he saw the beautiful girl who sang, let down her hair for the witch to climb up to see her. The prince returned at dusk and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel could not believe it when the young prince appeared, and it was not the witch. They fell in love at first sight. They made a plan for Rapunzel to escape. The witch found this out and cut off Rapunzel's hair and hid her away far from the tower. That night, the witch waited for the prince. He cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch threw out Rapunzel's hair, and he climbed up. To his surprise, it was the witch, not Rapunzel. The witch cursed him. "You will never see again." And with that, he was blind. For some time he wandered the forest, hoping to hear Rapunzel singing again. And then, one day, he heard her singing. He followed her voice and found her. They hugged and Rapunzel cried, so happy to see him again. One of her tears fell on his face, and a miracle happened. He could see again. "Oh, I am so happy to see you again," said the prince. And then another miracle happened. Rapunzel's beautiful hair grew back, as long and shiny as it had been. The prince took Rapunzel to his kingdom far away from the witch, where they lived happily ever after. One day, the infant son of research scientists who were working in the jungle wandered off when they were not looking. The small baby boy was found by Bagheera, the very nice Black Panther. Bagheera thought the baby would be safer with the wolves and their baby cubs. Bagheera left the baby for the mother wolf to find. The mother wolf named the boy Mowgli, and they agreed to raise the boy with her wolf cubs. Mother wolf always worried about Shere Khan, the great tiger, coming to take the child away from them. Bagheera taught Mowgli the rules of the jungle and everything he needed to know about all the animals. Bagheera was always there to protect him. The wolves told Bagheera he must take Mowgli back to the human village, where he would be safe from Shere Khan. Bagheera agreed to take Mowgli to the human village. But when he tried, Mowgli got very upset and said he wanted to stay in the jungle with all his animal friends. Mowgli ran off deep into the jungle, where he met a nice new jungle bear friend named Baloo. Baloo and Mowgli played and had a great time. They met some monkeys and their king, who wanted to know how to make fire. Bagheera caught up with Baloo and Mowgli and said they had to get Mowgli to the village. But Mowgli ran away again. He wanted to stay in the jungle. Bagheera and Baloo searched for Mowgli. But the fierce tiger Shere Khan had found Mowgli first. Mowgli, who had grown up around animals his whole life, was not the least bit afraid of Shere Khan, the great tiger. This made Shere Khan very angry. Shere Khan bared his great fangs and let out a giant tiger roar and leapt towards Mowgli. Just then, Bagheera and Baloo arrived. Baloo the bear grabbed the great tiger by the tail and then threw him to the ground with a thud. Baloo had gotten there just in time to save Mowgli. Shere Khan lashed about trying to reach Baloo, but Baloo hung on tight to his tail. Shere Khan tried to shake Baloo loose and cracked his strong tail like a whip. Suddenly, a big storm rose up, and a huge lightning bolt hit a big tree and started a fire. Mowgli knew right away how to help Baloo with the fight against Shere Khan. Shere Khan was very afraid of fire. Mowgli took a branch that was on fire and he ran towards the great tiger. Shere Khan was so afraid of the fire in Mowgli's hand that he ran away deep into the jungle. Bagheera and Baloo cheered. They both knew they would never see Shere Khan around their jungle parts again. Mowgli, Bagheera, and Baloo promised they would never be parted by anything again. They would always be best friends, no matter what. Just then, at the edge of the jungle river, Mowgli saw something he had never seen before. It was a beautiful girl. The beautiful girl was getting water just outside the man's village edge by the river. Bagheera and Baloo were sad, but only for a few moments, as they knew Mowgli had to leave to go to the man village with the girl. They both knew it was the right thing for Mowgli to do. They both saw Mowgli smile as he helped the girl with her water jugs at the river's edge. Then Mowgli waved as he headed towards the man village with the girl. Mowgli's friends knew it was where Mowgli really belonged. They would always be friends no matter where they all lived. Bagheera and Baloo knew they had done the right thing by helping Mowgli find his way safely to his new home, and they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, there was a very young, curious girl named Alice. Alice went for a long walk outside and soon sat down to rest. Alice began to daydream. She imagined a wonderful world where all the animals and flowers could talk. Just then, Alice looked up and saw a white rabbit carrying a pocket watch. "I'm late," said the white rabbit as he ran by. Alice was so curious, she tried to catch up to the rabbit. "Mr. Rabbit, please wait," called Alice. Alice followed the rabbit into a hole in the ground. She began to fall down the long tunnel, but landed just in time to see the rabbit run through a tiny door. Alice was too big to fit through the door. She saw a small bottle that had a label that read, "Drink me." Alice drank the liquid and became small enough to fit through the door. On the other side of the door, she met twins named Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The first thing in a visit is to say, "How do you do?" and shake hands. The twins took Alice's hands and danced around. Alice tried to explain that she was following the white rabbit, but the twins didn't care. They started to tell her a story. Alice wanted to be polite, so she listened to their story, but after they finished their story, they did not give Alice a chance to speak. They just kept on talking to each other. So Alice left. Alice soon spotted the white rabbit in the yard of his cottage. He was worried because he could not find his gloves. "I'm late," he exclaimed to Alice. She offered to help him look around his cottage for his gloves. Alice found a cookie that had a label that read, "Eat me." She ate the cookie and grew into a giant and smashed through the rabbit's cottage. The white rabbit ran to get help to clean up the mess Alice had made. Alice had to get small again, so she picked a carrot from the rabbit's garden. As soon as she ate it, she shrunk to a tiny size. Alice tried to follow the white rabbit again, but could not keep up. After a while, Alice found herself in a magical garden where all the flowers could speak. They asked Alice what kind of flower she was, and before she could explain, the flowers decided she was a weed. They told her to leave their garden. After she walked for some time, Alice came upon a large caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. "Well, who are you?" asked the caterpillar. "I hardly know, sir," answered Alice. The caterpillar told Alice that eating some of the mushroom would help her always be the right size. Alice had a little bit of the mushroom, and soon she was her regular size. She was so happy as she said goodbye to the caterpillar and continued on her way through the forest. She was amazed to see a grinning cat in a tree. He introduced himself as the Cheshire Cat. Alice asked the Cheshire Cat which way she should go to find the White Rabbit. He told her to ask the Mad Hatter. "I don't want to meet mad people," said Alice. "Oh, everyone is mad here," replied the Cheshire Cat, and he disappeared. Alice wanted to find the White Rabbit, so she continued on to the Mad Hatter's. She was invited to the Mad Hatter's tea party, where it was just nonsense. As she sat having tea with the Mad Hatter and his friends, the White Rabbit ran by yelling, "I'm late!" Alice followed the rabbit, but lost sight of him. The Cheshire Cat reappeared and showed Alice a shortcut to a fancy garden. Playing cards were working for the Queen of Hearts, painting roses. The rabbit ran by to announce the Queen of Hearts. Alice was happy to see him, but the Queen became angry and shouted, "Off with her head!" Alice ran away and soon found a door to get away from the Queen of Hearts and her guards. Just then, Alice awoke from her daydream. She realized she had just had a magical daydream and was happy to be awake from all the nonsense. That was just fine with Alice.